Hello, and welcome to episode 145 of the Player 3 podcast, the E3 Extravaganza.
What?
So, for those of you that don't know, this week was a very special week in video games, a little electronic entertainment expo happening in LA.
Wait,
We are,
that's what the E stand for?
we are live on location in Martinsville, Virginia to relay all the news. We are outside because, as Larry astutely pointed out, E3 kept us inside for 4 straight days. So,
my skin needs that sweet vitamin D.
I should probably get to the introductions here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm your host, Luke Croft. Alongside me, we have He Can Fix You a Nice Delicious Glass of Pepsi and Steal Your Daughter's Heart. Ladies and gentlemen, is Douglas Martin.
We're no strangers to love.
And next to him, the always visually stunning Larry Hunt.
Hi.
So if you're listening to the audio and you hear a little extra noise in the background, it's because we were doing this outdoors, and we may be picking up the sounds of nature.
There are leaves, birds, bugs, leaf blowers.
This seems like an unpleasant experience for you.
I'm not used to the outside. There are days I have this summer where I barely stand up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's exhausting me out in the heat under this tree.
Make sure you're using that mic.
You can just hold it if you would like, whatever's easiest for you.
Might be helpful.
So, anyway, how are you guys doing?
Well,
I am great.
Fantastic. I have been doing nothing but video game stuff for 4 days straight. If it's not watching E3 press conferences, it's watching the interviews on IGN with developers or playing games because I always get this itch to go back and play games. So outside of just watching the E3 coverage, you guys watched everything but Square Enix, right?
pretty much.
Correct.
Outside of that, what have you guys been up to? Just a very brief consuming.
I've been working a lot. That's not a thing I've been consuming, but I've had 2 days that were longer than 10 hours this week. It's been great. And been watching America's Got Talent because for some reason I like this show.
That's pretty weird.
Right?
Yeah, he every year he's like,
Right?
Do you watch the whole thing or just the auditions?
I watched the whole thing. All the way to the end.
Man, how about you, my friend?
I've been consuming a lot because I, too, am not working this summer, and it's been great. Although I have a baby, so a lot of the daytime stuff is committed to baby stuff. But can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? After you're done talking and Larry starts talking, we'll switch seats. You're just really low.
Okay. I've been consuming a lot of everything. I've jumped back into Gears 4. Playing the multiplayer a lot on that, and just having a lot of fun for some reason. And I started playing before the Gears 5 announcement, so I guess a bug just struck me, and then boom, announcement.
A little bug called precognition.
He saw it coming.
Much like
Cog, you get it?
Ooh. Precognition.
Oh.
Gears joke. I purchased for like half price with the Days of Play sale on PlayStation the expansion pass for Destiny 2. So I've been playing some story for like Curse of Osiris, and I haven't jumped into Warmind yet. I think there's like a power level gap I need to cross at some point. But just kind of admitting to myself that I'm going to go into this being a filthy casual player, I really don't mind the DLC as much. Like the story's fine. It ain't great, but it's fine. There's stuff to do, and it's not so much that I feel like I can't do it having a child and blah, blah, blah. May not ever touch the raid layer, but just for $20, I would have never bought it at full price, by the way. Thanks, Bungie. But for $20, I feel like this is a good time filler. There's enough stuff for me to do. I've been having a good time with it.
Isn't the base game like $9 right now or something like that?
No, it's like 20 or 30. I think it's like 20.
Okay.
But if you buy the
whole shebang.
The whole shebang as of right now, it's like $40, so it kind of levels out.
All right, cool. I've been playing Mass Effect Andromeda. I don't know why, but I got this itch to go back and play it. I don't know if seeing BioWare announcing stuff with Anthem and all that kind of got me to go back, but I know that game got a lot of crap, but they've done a lot of fixes, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. The combat's not all that great, but the story is intriguing to me. I like we're trying to find a habitable planet out in the Andromeda Galaxy for all of these people who are in a cryogenic sleep. Like, I think that's a really cool story premise. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. I also downloaded Hollow Knight, which was announced during the Nintendo press conference yesterday. Haven't got really far enough into that to formulate any opinions, except that I like the vibe. Like the atmosphere is really creepy and cool. So, but yeah,
I've got one more.
All right, go for it.
A couple weeks ago, I bought Skyrim again, and
That was literally last week.
I can't keep all this straight. Anyway, I know you've probably seen people play Skyrim a billion times, but starting in early July, I'll be streaming a playthrough of Skyrim where I have created John L. Sullivan in my game. He was the last bare knuckle heavyweight boxing champion, and I'll be doing a playthrough where I just punch everything to death.
Oh, that's pretty
It's gonna
cool.
be
Get your
magical.
boxing skill up.
Yeah.
I really wish that Ben plays PlayStation, and B, that you have a PlayStation, because I would really try to convince you to buy Star Trek Bridge Crew to play with me.
Yeah, well, see, even if I had a PlayStation, I wouldn't do that.
Because he's not a freaking
Because
nerd.
it's like $15, and I really want to play it, but I don't want to play it with like some randoms. I don't even know if you can play it with randoms. I don't really know much about the game.
If they would pay me $15, I would play it.
You heard it here first, boys and girls. All right, well, we got a lot to get to. So
I guess.
go ahead, grab a snack, grab a drink, grab a comfy chair, and strap in, because we're going to go through each and every conference. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go through each conference's announcements in order,
Just said that. Okay, I'm sorry.
discussing the games along the way. So, and then we're going to give a grade for each conference at the end of each conference's announcements. And then we're going to review our predictions and score that. I need to pull that up probably. I forgot to put it in the show notes. Then at the end of the show, we're going to give E3 an overall grade, talk about some of the things that we noticed just overall through the entire conference. And then we're going to pick our game of the show. So,
All right.
All right, let's start with EA.
Yay.
EA, Electronic Arts.
It's
All right.
in the game. Is that still a thing?
So, that was EA. That's EA Sports, yes. All right. So EA pretty much followed the exact trajectory we figured they would follow, but they kicked it off with Battlefield 5 multiplayer. Some cool little snippets from that. Movable defenses. Instead of having like stuff fixed to a certain location, like your anti-aircraft guns and all that sort of stuff, you'll be able to move those with vehicles in the game. So that's kind of cool. The battlefield constantly evolving. Destructible environments make their return, but also you'll be able to rebuild the environments, which is kind of crazy, and fortify those. They
Fortnite.
emphasize no loot boxes, no premium pass. And within 6 minutes of the very first conference, we got our first Battle Royale reimagined. No details on that yet, but they did announce that there will be an announcement to come later this year.
There will be something.
All right.
What do we think of Battlefield?
That's news. I mean, I feel like there's nothing mind-blowing there, which we'll return to later, but I feel like that was a good way to start off the conference, in which the conference had nothing truly mind-blowing. But oh well. I mean, this sounds cool. I'll probably play it.
Yeah. One of the things that they were like, they teased, hey, we're gonna be showing off war stories at Microsoft's press conference, and then when we got to Microsoft's conference, the short little snippet they showed about Battlefield 5, half of it they showed us in the War Stories teaser. Like, it was nothing. It was weird. It didn't feel like a game that was coming out later this year. And a game that's coming out later this year that's going to try to go up against Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption and kind of the Fallout 76, some of those juggernauts that are coming.
Something else
Yeah.
to preface the rest of this discussion for the next 3.5 hours that we're going to be talking, whatever it is. I don't understand. Nintendo's got like 3 huge games coming out in the same window as Red Dead. We got Battlefield, Call of Duty, God knows what. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Why? Just give me Red Dead. That's the only thing I'm going to play probably around that time.
I'm gonna, of the things to pick, I'm gonna wind up getting Fallout 76 if it comes down to it. That's the game I'm sold on, but I'll retain my excitement for later.
All right. After that, we had Origin Access Premiere. they talked a lot about disruption in it, talking about how streaming and subscription services are going to be the thing. I was more excited about that than anything with like what was available now with Origin Premium or Origin Access Premier, sorry, the like 5 days early access and all that sort of stuff. But the idea of having like a cloud-based streaming service where you can play games on anything, play like console, PC quality games on any device, like that's really cool to me, and that's something that we also saw Microsoft talk about. Like, I can get down with that future.
Yeah.
Maybe like the future, or like the consoleless future that we keep hearing about.
Yves Guillemot from
Guillemot.
Ubisoft hinted that's going to be the future. So then after that, Madden's coming to PC. I just threw that in there because we haven't seen that in over a decade, and so people that was really one of the only things within the whole conference people got like you could hear at least a segment of people get excited about, which was weird. Like, what a strange announcement. Then right before the conference, Vince Zampella from Respawn said that he had been strong-armed into giving a little teaser of what's to come with one of their titles. They're currently working on 3 games. You have to assume one is Titanfall, one is the Star Wars game, and then the other, I'm not positive.
Who knows?
So they announced Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Larry, what
I
are your
was
thoughts?
so disappointed that this is how this got announced. So one of my predictions was that we would actually see something from this game, and we are not seeing anything from this game. But it's going to take place in the period between the rise of the Empire and the original trilogy, and that's an interesting period to explore.
The dark times.
Yes, when the Jedi are being hunted down. It's an interesting time period. There are other time periods I'd kind of rather see a game from, but it opens up a lot of possibility. You being a Jedi that's being hunted, I think that's cool. I saw a lot of speculation that this was going to be Ahsoka. No, it's not going to be Ahsoka because she's not a Jedi Padawan. She left the Jedi Order at the end of the Clone Wars, you nerds.
Yeah, you freaking nerds. What do you know? I don't know. It sounds cool to me. I'm not as big a Star Wars fan as the two of you.
It's just news, and if we learned anything from the start of the Trump presidency, news is
Often fake.
it's there.
I do like that it's going to be a Jedi-focused game. Those are the Star Wars games I prefer. I'm not real big on the I'm a soldier with a gun. Like there are all kinds of games like that. I want to be some dude with magic powers and a laser sword.
Do you feel like last year, if this announcement would have been made in the same exact way, there'd have been a lot more excitement and conversation going on about it?
Probably because we knew, but we've known about it for how long now? Like
We've known they've been working on a game for a couple of years, yeah.
Yeah. And that's why, I don't know, it's one of those things where this means this game's still really far away. And that's really sad to me. Like this is a really big time of excitement for Star Wars as a whole. And for right now, really the only outlet you have gaming-wise is Battlefront and some mobile games. You don't really have much to do. So I was really looking forward to this, and I was so disappointed that this is all we got.
Yeah. Terrible way to make an announcement. Like, hey,
Yeah.
Andrea Renee, you want to crouch down next to Vince Zampella just sitting here in a chair? Like, awful.
It would have been better to say nothing.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of Battlefront 2, they did announce that there's going to be some Clone Wars content coming to the game, as well as is the solo stuff already out?
it's already out, and
Okay.
there wasn't much to it.
Okay.
It's like some player skins and or hero skins, stuff like that. Is the only, I'm pretty sure, only Battlefront 2 player here.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds really cool. I'm mainly excited to play as like General Grievous. I have no idea how that.
How do
would
you
go,
control
'cause-
4 arms with 2 sticks?
Was it 4 or 6 arms?
4.
4. Okay.
He has 2 feet.
True.
Like, don't we all? Right? But yeah, I'm excited to kind of try that out and jump back in. That'll make me jump back in for a little while. It's one of those things where I would like them to keep, coming out with content for this game, enough to keep me interested and get me to jump back in from time to time. But it is one of those games that I can't play consistently, really.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I've had some fun with it. I put a lot of time in, or at least a good chunk of time into that when it first came out. But between the loot box debacle and this, that, and the other, I don't know. They've had an uphill battle for its whole existence.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, this doesn't move the needle for me. I mean,
Yeah.
the Battlefront 2 stuff was pretty unforgivable. I know they tried to rectify a lot of it, but I mean, they're gonna have to try again with a different game for me. All right, then we had Unravel 2 releasing day of, introduced co-op.
For you audio listeners, there's a lot of head shaking going on. And
Yeah, which was kind of how I felt the whole time during EA for the most part. I mean, Unravel, fine. Like, I think it's cool that EA gives that space to creators to do something cool. I think it was even cooler that they got to announce that it was coming out today. I think that probably generated more excitement for it than, hey, Unravel 2 is coming in September or whatever.
Yeah.
But still.
I don't know. A lot of people seem to really like the first Unravel, but I think they liked it more so for the fact that it was unexpected.
And that the presentation was pretty endearing for the guy.
And it seems so anti-EA, or not
Yeah.
anti-EA, but you don't think of stuff like that coming from
Right.
Electronic Arts.
Well, one of the cool things about all these EA originals, including the one that was revealed right after that from Joe May Games, which is called Sea of Solitude. EA doesn't make any profit off of those, so they help get the game in front of people's eyes, and then they recoup whatever cost that they poured into it. But all of the profit goes straight back to the developer that made it, and so it really is kind of like EA's anti-EA wing of their business. And so I appreciate it. There is a part of me that thinks, should they maybe figure out a different way to announce these games than just having those developers stand on stage and announce it, because they always get really overwhelmed, and it's always...
They aren't necessarily the best public speakers.
Yeah, it always starts to drag. I almost think they should do like one of those pre-recorded announcements with them.
And this makes me think, like, the whole EA thing makes me think of, like, the really cutthroat lawyer who takes, like, a pro bono case for tax purposes. I don't know. That's just me.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a PR move, and it does feel a little disingenuous, even with the, like, they get to keep all the profits and whatever. It's like, well, you're constantly screwing up on a corporate level, and so for you to save face with this, like, makes a lot of sense for you, and it's a very cheap way to do it, and relatively.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
go ahead.
At this point in the conference, my wife was putting my kids to bed, and my wife had apparently fallen asleep. So my 3-year-old got up and came down the hall and joined me for viewing E3. And she walked in, saw Unraveled, and was like, "Dad, can we play that game?" So my 3-year-old's excited about it, at least.
Well, that's cool. My wife wants to play it with me, so yeah. Then we had probably the worst moment of E3 with Command and Conquer, bringing shoutcasters.
I disagree, but it was down there.
And two esports people to come out and talk about it. I'm really interested to see what you thought was worse.
Actually, I forgot about the shoutcasters. Like that was pretty. Oh, they tried to get everyone so excited, but nobody was excited.
Look, and this is a theme that's going to come up regularly throughout each of these conferences, but is there not somebody sitting in one of these meetings saying, we probably shouldn't do that?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of that from every conference.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what
It's a
we're
thing.
saying.
We'll get
Like-
to Ubisoft and we'll get to Sony and all that, but I feel like people just don't understand what keeps audiences engaged.
Right. And that's what E3 is about. Like, you want to keep people hooked, and spending 10 minutes playing some mobile game that nobody knew what it was. Like,
Yeah.
it would have been much better served just to show the Command and Conquer trailer that they showed right after, and then maybe show a little gameplay so that people don't think it looks like the trailer looked.
Yeah.
Because it really was one of those, like, kind of bait and switch mobile game commercials where it's got, like, awesome graphics, but then when you go to play it, it's not going to look like that.
Yeah.
So, and then finally, we got Anthem and some new information there. It's going to be releasing on February 22nd, which is a date to just mark on your calendars because a bunch of games are coming out then. Metro just dropped the mic.
Attacking the mic.
Drop. Metro Exodus is coming out then. Days Gone is coming out then. Oh, that just melted right away.
What?
So you may want to watch the adhesive on the little pad right there.
Oh.
So I'm just going to hold this, I guess. Anyway, releasing February 22nd. It's going to have cosmetic microtransactions only, and you're going to know what you're purchasing when you purchase it. So it's not a loot box system. There will not be any kind of PvP at launch. And then they're really focusing on story. They showed the 4 javelins: Ranger, Colossus, Interceptor, and Storm. But you're a freelancer, so you're not like locked into a class. I thought that was pretty cool. And the world is evolving. If something gets destroyed, it doesn't come back, and I think that's really cool too.
Just like real life.
Exactly.
And
Much
the
like
environment.
EA's reputation.
I came out of this less excited for Anthem than I went into it, to be honest. I'm still excited about it. I think it looks like it's gonna be a good, solid game. But I need to know more about Anthem, I think.
For something that wants to be Destiny so bad, or not even to be, but to beat Destiny, I don't know. Just maybe just me going back and playing through this DLC and stuff like that. Destiny just feels so good to play. I think, despite its problems with story and with loot drops and repetitiveness and blah blah blah, it I think is probably the best first-person shooter. To like just in terms of feeling, Overwatch has its thing, but I don't know.
I'll kind of agree with that. As someone who I'm probably the person on this show who has hated on Destiny more than anybody, I've always kind of maintained that mechanically that game is fantastic.
It feels so good to play, and jumping back into that, it just feels like home to me. So as somebody who grew up on Halo and on first-person shooters in general, some COD and whatever else. Anthem's third person, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what to make of all that and blah, blah, blah. But from what I'm seeing from this conference, just in general, it doesn't look like it's going to be as satisfying to play.
I agree, and I thought this was. There are things about this I'm really excited about. The emphasis on PvE is really exciting to me because in Destiny, those were the things that I got most excited about, especially in Destiny 2. So in that regard, I think that could be cool. I like the idea that you're like a freelance pilot for these javelins. You're not restricted to one class.
Yeah.
It changes based on, if whatever you're feeling at the moment. I like that. I liked the really heavy customization that they showed with the javelins. That was really cool to me. But it was just another example of why like this? Why talk about this game like this? Like everybody's excited to see this. I understand wanting to get the people who make the game out there and talk about it, but do that in a post show. Do that in a YouTube breakout video. Do that in a way that doesn't completely halt whatever momentum you were trying to build in the game. Like,
Yeah.
show me a trailer. And then the other thing that concerned me is they cycled through a lot of the same 5-minute gameplay video, and they still were showing a lot of concept art. I'm like, for a game that's coming out in February, why all the concept art? Like, why not just bombard me with gameplay?
It wouldn't surprise me if this was still delayed at some point, although it's coming up on time. I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of potential for disappointment here, and whether that comes from the business ethics of EA or from the gameplay or whatever, it's kind of 50-50 for me right now.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's go through and let's grade this conference. We'll start with you, Larry.
I don't remember what I wrote.
You gave
But I
it a
think I gave it a
C.
C. Yeah, okay. There wasn't a lot to it. It was kind of, this is what was expected. It was an adequate conference. I think that's what I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
This was adequate. I got information on the games I knew was coming. And that adequateness was perhaps unfairly knocked down even a little bit for me because I was really, really expecting. I know you guys didn't expect it, but I was really expecting that Star Wars game I was expecting to see something. So this was just kind of par for the course. So, and with 2 disappointments, the Star Wars game and Anthem just wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be. So yeah, C.
All right, Seth.
I gave it a C minus. I just feel like they've got a lot of stuff, and again, that's going to be kind of my theme throughout the whole EA conference. But you got some Anthem, but we've known about Anthem for a while now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Battlefield, that's whatever. We get a Battlefield almost every year, if not. It just feels like a lot of the same kind of stuff. No surprises, nothing. And I think one of the greatest things about E3 is its potential for, for publishers and for huge companies like EA and whoever else, Sony, Xbox, to come out and be like, hey, you didn't know about this, but here real soon we'll pull a Fallout 4 and bang, this game's coming out in 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing like that.
Yeah.
From EA, so I gave it C-. I mean, there's some interesting stuff, but nothing to write home about really, for me.
Okay. I gave it a D because outside of some of the new stuff about Anthem, I didn't find really anything in this interesting. Sea of Solitude looked pretty good, but outside of that, it was really stale. It was very corporate and stuffy, and a lot of, I don't know, like, talking down isn't the right word, but it was talking through the filter of their failures.
I'm surprised that Andrea Renee had anything to do with.
Well, I thought it made a lot of sense for them to do that. Like they as a company,
for them, but for her,
right? Well, she probably got paid handsomely. You got a little ant right there.
Little ant action.
Yeah.
The great outdoors.
Well, no, it made a lot of sense for them because like it grounds them. It shows them like they understand. It was influencers that sank Battlefront 2, right? And so they understand the importance of getting influencers on their side. So I don't know. I was not into any of it except the Anthem stuff really at the end, and even that, it was like, this has been a much cooler YouTube video for me to watch later on than like me carving time out of my schedule to sit down and watch it.
That's one thing for like we'll talk about it more again, but Ubisoft, a lot of them just talk so much, and it's one of those things where like I would respond to this conference much more if you just showed me more instead of just talking about it. We feel really good about this game. We did this, that, and the other, and here's an orchestral presentation of the music.
And so much filler language. We were kind of joking on this earlier. You have a wider selection of games than you've ever had before. Our graphics are even better than they've ever been. You're essentially saying we've continued to develop our games and technology over the past year.
We're doing exactly what we should be doing, and things are progressing.
We decided not to halt
basis.
Production,
or to backtrack.
So to review our predictions, Larry predicted that we would see a trailer for Respawn's Star Wars game.
Thanks,
we did
EA.
not see it. And I said that EA will not mention microtransactions. And they did. Multiple times.
We are both failures.
It's all right, man. Because I dunked on you here in a minute. So, all right, let's move on. Let's move on to Microsoft. All right, so coming in, we knew Microsoft was going to have to kind of come out of the gate swinging. They've received a lot of criticism about first-party exclusives and stuff like this, so let's run through the announcements. First out of the gate, Halo Infinite. We know absolutely nothing about Halo Infinite except for it's going to center around Chief. It's running on a new engine called Slipspace, and outside of that, nothing.
We know there are warthogs in the universe still,
but also rhinos.
But
people.
we're also on a Halo world, right? Wasn't there a ring?
It kind of looked like it, yeah.
So how's that make sense? I don't know. Could this be backtracking somewhat?
No, I don't know what's happened in games and what's happened in books. There are ways to still produce Halo rings, and there are Halo rings that haven't been totally decommissioned.
Well, the books are canonical.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So I guess it doesn't matter. Yes, this makes sense.
Okay.
But Luke has a theory about this as well. It goes in a different direction. Right?
Luke's got a theory.
I thought you were saying that you suspected that they might be rebooting rather than continuing.
I don't know, because I think I read somewhere after I said that said this is the next, like, it's after Halo 5.
Okay,
So,
okay.
I mean, but I do think that there are, look, you played 5, and you've told me the tangled web that they've weaved that you don't really know how they're going to come out of it. I listened to Unlocked, and everybody there is like, I don't know how you write yourself out of some of the corners you painted yourself into with 5. So I can see this being loosely connected to 5, but being more of a reset than anything. So at the end of the trailer, you see Chief. He's standing there. He puts his helmet on. Then you see him slide a new AI chip into the back of his helmet. And so you have to imagine that's not Cortana, right?
That is a big deal because Cortana ended evil, but I now have a theory.
All right, lay it on me, brother.
Wild speculation.
Cortana has left copies of herself all over the galaxy as she's fought other AIs and stuff. I wonder if evil Cortana was just one of the copies, and Chief goes and finds real Cortana to stop evil Cortana.
Well, you're gonna have to probably wait till the next Xbox. That's my theory on this.
Yeah, this game, well, regardless of when the next Xbox is, if this is all we're seeing, this game is at least 2 years out, probably 3, I think.
And they did drop 6. They didn't. It's not called Halo 6 anything. So you had Halo 5 Guardians. This is just Halo Infinite, which makes me almost wonder, like, the word infinite. I mean, it makes sense in the context of Halo, but also, is this going to be more of a servicey game? Are they going to get more servicey than Warzone?
Like what's the new gen game we'll talk about here very soon in the future?
Doom Eternal.
Doom Eternal. You got Eternal, Infinite. I don't know.
Which are all hints to the next Xbox. Just kidding.
There seem like there are a lot of games, and that those words kind of play into that games as a servicey kind of thing.
I wouldn't hate Halo as a games as a service if it was done right and the story was done well. Which, let's be honest, Halo 5 wasn't games as a service and the story was not done well, so it's possible.
Yeah. I mean, everything's kind of up in the air right now. Just with that teaser trailer, it's really hard to make anything out of anything.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that's the way they want it because they know that they've got to really do something right to keep Halo a running franchise.
Yeah.
I will say this: Halo is so integral to my gaming experience. Like that was like the prime years of gaming for me. It was Halo 1 through 3. As much as I don't want to care about this game, the second I heard that piano dun 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 dun, I got the chills and I was like, ah, crap, I'm roped in. I can't wait. I'll take whatever you give me. 343.
I can feel the money like floating out of my wallet up into the stratosphere.
I went ahead and burned it. Just.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see. I think it's interesting they're building this on a new engine because I thought I don't know what the engine they were working on was called, but I thought Halo 5 was as much problems as there were with like the narrative and that sort of stuff. In terms of the game itself and the gameplay, I thought they nailed it. I thought they nailed Halo. But we're definitely going to have to see. That's still a long, long way off. Next up, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. We got new gameplay for it. 2019 date, nothing more specific than that. I was a little shocked not shocked, but I was surprised by the date. I thought this was going to come a lot earlier. I thought they were going to come out, say, September 2018 or whatever. But
well, let's see, you played the first game, right? Or have you kept track of both of these?
Yeah. Well, I played most of the first game, yeah.
Okay, and then the second game came out like a year later, I think, right? You can nod to me to confirm.
There's no other game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, never
Just
mind.
Just one game.
Never mind. Do we want to keep talking about this piece of crap, or we want to move on?
I wouldn't call it a piece of crap. I mean,
it's fine. It's a platform.
It's coming. It's coming later than we thought.
It's on
That's
its
all I
way.
know. Luke's the only one with any real connection to this. Have you played it?
I watched him stream it like when the first game came out.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, it didn't really strike me as something I really want to play. But then again, I'm funny about platformers. If it's not like Crash or Jack or Mario, I don't really care that much.
All right. We're ready to move on if you're ready to
All right,
move
cool. Next up, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. This is a new game from Software. It's in a Japanese setting coming out in early 2019. I found this really interesting because there was a lot of speculation we were going to see Bloodborne 2. I was the one who predicted that we would see a new From Software game that wasn't in the Dark Souls or Bloodborne universe, and that was going to come at the Sony conference. So I'm giving myself half a point for that, since it came at the Microsoft.
Thank God for that mercy.
Even though From Software in the post show of the PlayStation one announced another game that wasn't Dark Souls or Bloodborne.
So I've now tripled my points.
So I've tripled my points. No, but I thought this was cool. We saw kind of a Japanese samurai theme going across E3 this year.
Samurai everywhere.
But pretty interesting that From Software shows up at Microsoft's, right?
Yeah, I mean that's it's kind of antithetical to what you would think would happen because you've got Dark Souls, which kind of goes across both systems, and then you've got Bloodborne, which is exclusive to Sony. So it's really interesting that you see, and this isn't exclusive to Microsoft.
No,
right? It's just they showed it at Microsoft. So it makes me wonder how many people Sony pisses off on a regular basis because you got this Fortnite news that we'll talk about here pretty soon. I don't know.
You have to wonder if From Software went to Sony and Sony just said, "Oh, we're really limited," after the conference that they had. Like,
Right.
But I'd have pushed that out in favor of a couple other things they showed at Sony. But yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, I'm not a huge Souls fan. I played a little bit of Bloodborne, but I feel like if Bloodborne didn't get its hooks in me, nothing will. But this was a big get for Microsoft to just be able to show on their stage, I think.
Yeah.
Then next we saw Fallout 76, which just had a little trailer that we saw later on that day at Bethesda's. We'll talk more about that in a minute.
Oh, yes, we will.
Then we have The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit. This is from Don't Nod, which did Life is Strange. It takes place in the Life is Strange universe. And interesting enough, it's going to be completely free on June 26th. I'm gonna play the crap out of this. I think this was cool. Like I'm about those like walking simulator kind of things, but I don't like episodic, which is why I never got into Life is Strange. But I may go back and play Life is Strange all the way through because this apparently ties into it. But just that like Saturday morning as a kid, like that's what this is all about. It's about imagination. I like those palate cleansers of games.
We'll see. I mean, being free, I'm all about maybe jumping in and just trying it out because that's a good way for me to try things that I wouldn't normally try that don't cost money. But you said this is not episodic, right?
From what they indicated now.
Right. I'm down about that because I'm getting very tired of episodic games. There just seems like there's so much fill or things like that. I wouldn't be. I would pay $5 for whatever an individual episode of like these Telltale games, whatever it costs, to play like a 45-minute to an hour game.
Yeah.
Just make it intense, make it heavy, and go on with that. So I'm glad they're doing something a little different.
I don't think this will be intense and heavy, but I do think it'll be in and out, like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So
This one didn't excite me. It's just not my thing. Like, on the one hand, I appreciate games that are coming out that are something besides shooting things. Like, I think I would like to see more games like that. But on the other hand, I want just real extreme escapism in my games. I don't want to have to deal with real life. So let me kill a dragon. Don't make me be a child dealing with my father's inability to deal with the loss of my mother.
Well, why don't you blow up some buildings and Crackdown 3, which was next. Terry Crews screaming at us the entire time.
Does Terry Crews do anything but
That's
scream?
true. 9-9, baby.
9-9!
Coming in February 2019. Jesus Christ, can we just get this game? Like, that's how I feel about
I
it.
almost want to guarantee you're not going to get this in February
No.
2019.
Okay. I was going to say, I've lost all interest in this. If I had any to begin with, it's gone. Like, this has been so mishandled by Microsoft, and I imagine this delay was to simply get Terry Crews into the game because he wanted to be in it. He wanted to be in Overwatch as well as Doomfist. That didn't work, right? I mean, I know he's not
all
Doomfist,
the rumor and
but
stuff.
That was the rumor.
I don't know what happened. He definitely went to Blizzard at some point.
Yeah.
So there's still a possibility that he might show up as somebody in the future, but yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. You've screwed the pooch on this one, Like, it's going to release, it's going to be a 7, it's going to not move the needle for anybody, and they're just going to have to take their lumps and move on. Then coming to Xbox One later this month, Nier Automata.
I've heard of
The
it.
complete edition. Good game. So if you're on Xbox alone, pick this up because it's fun. Then Metro Exodus got a new gameplay trailer. This is releasing February 22nd. The Metro games look great to me. I just never tried them.
Same.
Just seems like a different kind of Fallout to me. I don't know.
Yeah. Have you read the books? I feel
No.
like if anybody's read the books, it would be you.
No, I mean, they've just never really caught my interest. I mean, there's enough post-apocalyptic stuff out there for me. Isn't this a Russian series or something like
Yeah.
that? Or I don't know. I've never been a Tolstoy guy. Never been a Chekhov guy. Russia's, they can just do their own thing.
There is no collusion in Seth's reading.
I was waiting for something like that to happen.
Then we got a Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer that showed the world of Frozen. This looked awful.
I'm glad you said that. I thought I was going to get crucified.
No, it did. It looked really bad.
It looks like they finished the game the year after they did Kingdom Hearts 2 and then just locked it up to build hype for the next 12 years. That's how I feel about it.
So I didn't notice this until they showed the same exact trailer at Square Enix. But the audio was really bad. It was way off. Like the voices didn't sync. It sounded hollow. Like I don't know what's going on in this universe at all. Like Lauren was like, why are all these Disney characters here? And I was like, your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, I did play the first Kingdom Hearts a little bit, and it's one of those things where you're not going to be able to jump in at 3 and understand what's going on. You're going to have to go back and play.
Yeah.
But my issues were the audio was bad, the graphics weren't that impressive, which I don't expect them to be for a game like this. But they looked like 2 generations ago.
It was jarring because I agree. Like everybody but Elsa looked like that. Then Elsa rolls up and looks like it's the movie, asset that they're using in it. And it was like that was even more jarring. If it would have just looked like crap across the board, you can argue art style or whatever. But when there's a character that looks magnitudes better,
we come back to my theory that they finished this game years ago.
Then Frozen came out and they were like, copy paste, baby.
And the gameplay itself, like the RPG fighting stuff is whatever, but like the moving through the environment just looked not smooth.
One of the things I've heard about Kingdom Hearts, and I don't have any experience with it, is that the gameplay is good, like the combat especially.
All right.
But it doesn't translate to the videos if that's the case. And I guess, combat can be good 2 generations ago and not now,
Yeah.
So after that, we got some new content for Sea of Thieves announced. First up is an expansion called Cursed Sails, and then something called Forsaken Shore that will be coming, both of those later this year. The Forsaken Shore thing looked kind of interesting to me. Like, took on this creepier aesthetic, a lot of reds and blacks, and I thought that was kind of cool. But you played Sea of Thieves. Is this enough content to make you say, man, I may go back?
Without you guys to get in there and play with me, I don't have any desire really to jump back into that world. It's fine, like so much of what E3 has been this year for me. Fine, just fine. Don't know if I could spend time and hard drive space on Sea of Thieves anymore.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Battlefield 5 got on the story trailer, which was half shown at EA and then the other half shown here. Yeah. Whatever. It's Battlefield. Then Forza Horizon 4 got announced. We knew that this was in development. Takes place in Britain. Is going to have dynamic seasons, releasing October 2nd. I like the Forza Horizon series. I have Forza Horizon 3. I've played quite a bit of it. It's a game I'll just jump into from time to time and drive around, do a couple events.
I feel like Australia is so much more fun than Britain. Because in Britain, I just imagine, like, it's just raining all the time. The sky is gray.
You're having to stop for tea every 2 hours.
Right. And crumpets. You can't go anywhere without a crumpet.
Exactly. But I don't know. I thought it looked cool. The dynamic season stuff was really cool to me. So I'll pick this game up. I pick it up all the time. So
it'll be on Game Pass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Daddy will get that too. I'm Daddy, in case you're wondering.
Then perhaps, in my opinion, the biggest news out of the conference, 5 new studios were announced. One of them brand new, The Initiative. It's going to be in Santa Monica. Has just been formed. That's going to be working on what they're calling 4A games. That wasn't said during the conference, but they've said that in past. But just like megaton games, hopefully. So really cool to see what's going to come out of that. Huh. They also acquired 4 studios. Compulsion Games, the developers of We Happy Few, which is launching in August in a 1.0 version. That was the announcement right after this. Ninja Blade, who are the people... Ninja Theory, who did Hellblade. Another really great get. That was a great game. Talented studio. Really interested to see what they can do. Unlocked, Playground Games, the people who make Forza, and then an unannounced project that everybody pretty much assumes is some sort of Fable game. And then Undead Labs, who develops State of Decay. Thoughts on this?
It is great that this many years into this console generation, we're finally going to have some first-party stuff. Or exclusive stuff, rather.
Most of this stuff from these acquisitions is probably not going to come out until the next console generation. I imagine.
You have to assume. Yeah, I guess whatever Ninja Theory is working on could probably come out in the next year or two, given that Hellblade came out last year.
Yeah.
Playground Games exclusive may come out at the tail end of this generation, whatever their unannounced game is, because they've been working on that for about at least a year. So, and then Undead Labs, I don't know. There's no telling.
We Happy Few looks so good.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about that game. It looks so creepy, disorienting.
I feel like I've just been hearing about it for too long, man.
It has kind of had that little, like, stench about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there was a ton of there were a ton of trailers about a year ago or so, something like that. Ton of hype. Haven't really heard anything about it. Then we get this news, and I don't know. It's just one of those things, kind of like Crackdown for me almost. So not as bad, where it's just like, come out already. If you're gonna jump, jump.
This is huge, though. I mean, 5 new studios, whether they be newly assembled or acquired studios, like the Playground games, that makes sense. I mean, they've worked exclusively with Xbox for a long, long time. Undead Labs, same thing. This really was Phil Spencer standing on stage and saying, we are supremely invested in our future and supremely invested in our first party future. Because I think that they tried to throw the noodle of, third party exclusives at the wall, and it didn't stick with, Rise of the Tomb Raider and that. And so that was kind of their realization, saying maybe we're going to have to make a more long-term investment into some talent. And luckily they had been doing that with a couple studios already. And the only one I was really surprised by was Ninja Theory, because Hellblade was exclusive to PS4 when it launched. So, all right, then we got PUBG news. I jokingly tweeted that this was the smoothest I'd ever seen PUBG run on my television. Because they showed a trailer where War Mode was coming. In the winter, there's going to be new maps. And is the new map a winter map, or were they showing that there's going to be seasons?
I don't really know, to be honest.
I don't know either. With PUBG, so I love PUBG gameplay wise. Like, I think it's the best of the battle royale options right now, in terms of gameplay. But the game's so broken still. Like, I don't give a crap what kind of content you're coming out with if I'm still going to get home screened while I'm playing it. Like, I don't care.
I've been telling you guys. The other night we were playing. Bridget and I were playing, kind of switching controllers
Brigitte.
every other game. We were playing with her brother and one of his friends and squads, and we got on Miramar at one point, and we got home. She and I got home screened 3 times in one match. We got we dropped no text, no pop in, like you could see people like searching 3-story buildings and the guns there, but no structures evident.
It's the new X-ray vision mode.
Right.
I've got that issue. I can't drop in no matter which map. When I drop in, there are no buildings for a full 30 seconds to a minute.
I've had like full 2-minute stretches on Miramar. Now that's my main problem, and I guess it runs differently for everybody on every system. Larry and I have the obsolete Xboxes, I think.
Yeah.
It's still bad for me on the Xbox One
Yeah,
X.
sure,
It's still really clunky.
But even worse for us OG X-Bone owners. X-Boners. But I mean, it's just unacceptable to me. Like, we dropped in, landed on the map, waited for the buildings to pop in, got home screened, come back in, try to join back, can't get through the loading screen to get back in, tried one more time, and then we're like, this is ridiculous. This is unacceptable. We've got to get out of this. And we've been trying to jump on, and basically we had to go through the system where every time we realized that we landed on Miramar, our whole squad would have to drop out and then try again until we got whatever the first map's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the game. It's the most frustrating thing in the world. It's Friday the 13th all over again.
All right, then Seth's favorite game coming to Xbox One, Tales of Vesperia, Definitive Edition. Seth, talk us through the narrative of Tales of Vesperia.
I feel like just because I liked Dragon Ball FighterZ, that you've kind of looped me into this whole everything anime game thing all the time. I couldn't give 2 craps about any Tales games, really. I've heard 1 or 2 of them are fine.
Look, I was
what about
really hoping
Sonic and Tails.
I was desperately hoping you would take, in improv, there's one rule, and that's don't say no. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping you'd just run with it and walk me through the story of Tales of Vesperia.
I wish I thought about that.
Anyway, it's releasing, or has released, or something. Then The Division 2. Got a cool new trailer, gameplay trailer. Takes place in DC, releasing on March 15th.
This just looks, Luke, you and I have discussed this ad infinitum so far, from like as of Monday onward. This game looks just leaps and bounds better.
More
than the first
interesting.
division. More interesting,
Yeah.
definitely. But I think in graphically, aesthetically, whatever you want to say, it just looks better.
I think there's a reason that not a lot of games take place in New York, and that's because it's blocks, it's high-rise buildings. It's not super
A
interesting.
lot of stuff looks the same. That's why people get lost going from avenue to avenue. It kind of, especially where it took place around Christmas.
Yeah.
In the wintertime, it kind of, just like we were talking about with Horizon, how you think of London or England as being this gray, amorphous country in terms of environment and weather. That's kind of what I got from the division, the first division.
Yeah.
This looks just so bright, not happy particularly, but it looks vibrant to me,
Yeah.
and that's just something that really I think was lacking from the first game. And that's one of those things where the environment of your game has to be kind of living and, again, vibrant. The division lacked that. It's why Destiny, for all its faults, and you've got the gameplay and you've got the world building. I think they build worlds really well. Halo, same kind of thing, even though that's another sci-fi shooter. It's maybe a little more difficult to do with realistic shooters, but
And it's part of what made Halo 4 something people didn't like as much. The maps were very repetitive. They
Sure.
weren't interesting.
I don't know. This just struck me. We were really interested in the division, the original
Yeah.
division, because we just didn't have very much like that
Yeah.
at the time, and but it kind of came out and underwhelmed many of us. I'm really excited to jump into this one for some reason. Maybe because of the setting. We haven't really seen DC in many other games other than Fallout 3. It just seems really riveting to me, and I
Yeah.
can't wait to jump in and try it out.
I
Yeah.
was really intrigued by the stuff that you could do after you leveled up all the way. How much variation there seems to be in your character abilities and weapons, that kind of thing. That was interesting to me.
Yeah, and we'll jump more into that when we get to Ubisoft because they showed a whole lot more for it. So, I think they really understood like distinct environment because at the beginning of that trailer they're coming out of the woods. They go in front of there's a wrecked Air Force One that you fight around. Like even in the trailer, it was just so much more visually interesting. So, but like I said, we'll talk more about that when we get to Ubisoft. Then they announced Fast Start for Games Pass. It's a machine learning AI that's going to allow users to start their games faster. And then coming to Games Pass that day, ESO, The Division, Fallout 4. Obviously, all their first-party stuff's going to be coming. Ashen is also going to be coming to it. They announced a couple other games that'll be day and date as well. So then they rolled their ID at Xbox montage. Had a new Battle Royale game, Generation Zero, which looks really cool. They announced that actually before E3, but it's like a 1980s, I think Switzerland maybe. And it's kind of the same idea as Horizon Zero Dawn. There's like killer robots around and you're trying to tame the world. So, but below Outer Wilds, all the ID at Xbox stuff. Then they showed a new Shadow of the Tomb Raider gameplay trailer. We'll talk more about that when we get to Square Enix. Then they announced Session. And the whole time during this trailer, I was like, holy crap, is this a new skate game? And why didn't EA show this? And then they showed Session, which is going to be exclusive to Xbox. And from Creature Studios, or however it's pronounced. I love skate. I love Tony Hawk. I'm pretty excited about this. We'll have to see more, but I thought that was a cool exclusive to grab, especially I feel like it was kind of a gamble, because if EA comes out and shows Skate 4 like everybody was saying, nobody cares about Session.
Yeah.
So I'm betting there were some people at Microsoft breathing a big sigh of relief after the EA conference. Black Desert Online MMORPG coming to the Xbox One with a beta later this fall. Nerd stuff. Devil May Cry 5 got a new CG trailer. Any Devil May Cry fans?
Never played it.
Not really either.
I found the partner who drove the van very grating. I couldn't imagine going through a whole game with her.
She reminded me of someone, and I couldn't put my finger on it, but I felt the same exact way. I'm like, that girl uses baking soda as deodorant. Cuphead's getting new DLC called The Delicious Last Course. That's coming in 2019. More stuff I won't be able to get through.
I was going to ask if you were ever going to finish this game.
I
in order to
suck
get
at
to
it
the
so
DLC.
bad, dude.
I've thought about it, but I know. I mean, if I can't handle Bloodborne, I can't handle Cuphead.
Yeah.
Sure.
Then they showed Tunic, which is a really interesting game. Looks a lot like an old school Zelda game where you play as a fox, but it's got really modern 3D graphics. Looks really cool. And it's being developed by one dude out of Canada
All right.
who Trump has already announced tariffs on. Next, Jump Force. Seth got super excited about this because he's an anime nerd. Loves it.
Here's
I was
the
waiting to
thing
see
about-
some Bleach characters. I was real
Here's the
disappointed.
thing about Jump Force. Oh wait, I do know about Jump Force. That's the thing you talked to me about, right?
Yeah.
But it seems fine.
So you were going to hop into
Yeah, I
a
was
monologue.
gonna do it
Okay.
this time. But since I know what it's about, I don't know. It just seems like another anime game to me. I feel like I've seen this kind of thing before. Maybe not looking this good, but I don't know.
I just think if you put Goku on anything, there's a solid 5 million people that are going to buy it.
Probably, yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter. They could be like Goku coming to Madden 19, and all the anime fans would go crazy for it.
So you got Goku, Naruto, and that One Piece guy. I don't know his name.
I don't know. And then Death Note,
Oh yeah, yeah,
wasn't that at the end?
yeah.
I don't know who Death Note is.
Shonen Jump also owns Bleach, so I'm assuming those characters are going to show up too.
Oh, so now the true nerd has come to the surface. Then Dying Light 2 was revealed. A game we all, I guess, kind of assumed was in development. None of
Yeah.
us really predicted it being shown. Looks really cool, though. I won't play it because I don't care for the parkour mechanics, but
I will play it. The decision mechanics are really interesting.
yeah, you want to explain that a little?
So you can make your decisions will actually impact the world. You've got the decision they used as an example was the I don't remember the names of the people, but there's a crew that's enforcing law and order upon the post-apocalyptic wasteland, and they send you to take care of some people who have taken control of a water tower. If you kill them, then the law and order takes over, but they're very strict and they just crack down on people who don't agree with them. But if you don't take over, then you get to be an investor in the black market of water, which is great for you, but it also brings around some nefarious folks. So, and they said that was just one of hundreds of decisions you would make.
Just one of tens of decisions you
One
will make.
of tens.
There are dozens of us. Dozens.
All right. Battletoads got teased. It's coming in 2019.
We have been telling y'all for years that friend of the show Phil Spencer was going to give us Battletoads.
Who may or may not have been on the E3 predictions episode from last week. You'll have to go back and listen.
You'll have to check.
Just Cause 4 got a trailer. It's launching in December 4th. We'll talk more about that when we get to Square Enix. All right, let's get to the big news. Gears 5.
Never heard of it.
New reveal trailer. You're going to play as Kate Diaz, and it's coming in 2019.
Pretty sure
Diaz?
it's Diaz.
Diaz.
Yeah, it's DS.
Whatever.
I'm pretty excited about this. I didn't really start getting into Gears. I've played all of them, but I didn't really start getting into it until around 4. And I really enjoy 4. Like I said earlier in the show, I've jumped back in through the multiplayer, and the story looks really interesting to me. I think this trilogy or whatever it's going to be seems a lot more interesting to me than the original did in a lot of ways, because I
Yeah.
feel like the original was really jumpy, really kind of bro heavy in a lot of ways. This one just seems a lot more well-rounded, a lot more mature, and I think there seems like they're more interested and more invested in actual storytelling this time around. So count me in for Gears 5.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think we're going to go back and do the Gears 4 campaign next week while everybody's gone. And I'm excited to catch up. I played the first 3, and so yeah, this is an automatic buy for me. I was really kind of surprised we saw it. I mean, I know a lot of people were predicting we'd see Gears, but I thought this was going to be Halo's year. I didn't
Right.
expect a brand new engine and completely resetting the game or whatever they're going to be doing. So I thought this was really cool. Then the game we've all been asking for, Gears Pop, coming to mobile.
I hope it's on Switch. I might be interested in that if it's on Switch.
Who knows?
Who knows?
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
Then Gears Tactics. This is a game that I think even when Cliff Bleszinski was at the head of the Gears team, was something that they wanted to do because
It's
it was
kind of
just
like
such a
Marty
natural.
Sleeva's Gears Wars or whatever.
No, this isn't. It's not going to play like Halo Wars. It's going to play more like XCOM.
Okay,
So
that's right.
kind of like selecting your character, moving them positionally on the battlefield. So I don't know. It's kind of a natural fit for Gears. I think it's better than. I think this fits this style better than it would fit something like a Halo Wars.
Sure.
And I don't think they gave a release date for that, but that's going to be coming to PC. Then Phil Spencer came out and talked. He talked about a new Xbox being in development, and the rumors are that that's going to be coming in 2020, so we'll probably see more about that next year. How do you guys feel about that?
Surprised. I thought that the Xbox One X.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. I thought that was what we're going to do now was just iterate. And so for us to get an announcement of a whole new console, that was really surprising to me.
It just seems, I mean, 2020 is kind of the speculative date right now, right?
Right.
It just seems weird to get that console, the One X, and then a short 2 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
When did it come out? The end of 2017?
What?
The One X.
Yeah.
So November 2017 to, I would imagine, November 2020. That's 3 years for you to have a $500 console.
Yeah, but when you put it like that, I mean, I think the One X, they were really saying with that, like, this is not the core console. Like, if you want to play Xbox One, it doesn't start at the X. Like, the X is the premium place to play.
Well,
this
yeah,
is for the hardcore fans because, like, right now you can buy an Xbox One S for $200. So, I don't know. I don't scoff at this as much as I think a lot of people have because I think they were very upfront with the X that, like, this is for the hardcore players that want the best place to play, which then why I bought it is beyond me. But I'm just a sucker for new gadgets. But I think developers have had the next generation of console specs in their hands at least to be able to develop for it. Todd Howard a couple times hinted at like games they were revealing being next gen games or whatever. So this wasn't a shock to me by any means, and I don't. It doesn't give me any kind of like bad vibes that it's going to be that quick either.
Yeah, I don't. It's not a negative thing for me, just different than what I expected. Because my understanding of the One X was, yeah, this is for those who want the best, but there was so much at that time, and I can't remember that far back how much was rumor and how much was confirmed, but there was this idea floating of iterating on consoles rather than having hard lines. And I kind of wonder if the adoption of the One X, the rate of adoption fed into the decision to move forward with a whole new console.
They've never been super transparent about the sales for the One X, but they have talked about it as if it was like tracking alongside expectations at least.
Okay.
And so I don't think they had super high sales expectations for it. I think it was more of a reception expectation that they had for it, and the console itself is received very well. It's a technical achievement what they were able to achieve in that small of a box, and so I thought it was more of a we need to have a marketing thing that's going to carry us through the end of this generation, and that marketing thing is we have the most powerful console on the market. And I think in that regard, it served its purpose and has set them up to where they can come out and say, we've acquired 5 new studios. We have Halo Infinite that's coming way down the line. Like, set them up in such a way where they can talk confidently about that future and feel good about it. So, then they announced Microsoft. He didn't announce. He talked about Microsoft AI. They've been working on a new AI system that's going to make enemies smarter in games. I think that's interesting.
Is that the same thing Common's been talking about on all those commercials?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Then they also talked about game streaming, some cloud-based game streaming, and I just think that is going to be the future of gaming. Sony, I think, has been more quietly kind of working on that end of things, trying to tie like PlayStation Now into televisions and other set-top boxes outside of the PlayStation, and so I think everybody's kind of getting on that train. Speaking of, if you hear that in the background. That's the cloud-based streaming train leaving the station.
Sound of the man working on the train.
Then the one more
chain
thing.
Gang. That's never mind. That's a different thing.
Then the one more thing at the end of the Xbox conference, they were interrupted, and I don't think Phil Spencer expected it. by Cyberpunk 77. We got a new trailer, no date, but it looks awesome.
Yes, and it led off with hundreds of codes.
For The Witcher 3 Complete Edition, Game of the Year Edition.
I wish I'd watched this live because I'd be playing The Witcher 3 right now. Complete Game of the Year Edition.
He'd still be doing the podcast.
It's true.
I'm excited about this game. I can't wait. I love The Witcher. Took me 3 summers to finish The Witcher, but it wasn't because I didn't enjoy it. It was just because I was kind of just savoring my time with it. My wife's going to pull up and be like, what are you guys doing out here? We're sweating.
Things
That's what we're doing.
and stuff.
All right, guys, let's grade this conference. Larry,
Uh,
let's start with you. Do you want me to turn this around for
nah,
you?
dude, I have it ready this time.
Oh, okay, word.
I give it an A because I feel like there was a lot to be excited about with Microsoft. And for you guys, that may be a little more tempered, but for me, this is the first year this generation maybe that I didn't walk away from this conference disappointed that I'd bought an Xbox and not a PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. All right, Seth.
I kind of agree, not in so many words with that. I feel like Xbox did a much better job than almost everyone else in terms of just giving me an onslaught of news with a Z.
News.
And it was good news. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff to prompt discussion amongst people like us with no lives. I don't know. I mean, was there really even one instance of them breaking out into a musical number during Xbox's?
Not a single
No.
one,
press
man.
conference?
I love it.
I mean, yeah, it's what I wanted. It was games, and it was games, and it was games, and it was games, and there was a little bit of talking from time to time, but then more games and games.
And the talking was pared down to the bare minimum.
It was about the games, but not about like I don't know,
When I was sailing on a raft in the Indian Ocean for 3 years, I discovered my idea for this game. Yeah, I gave it an A+ to outdo all of you, even though I put my grade in first. It was a barrage of announcements. I thought they did a great job of giving me things to be excited about before next year's E3, and then things to look forward to. I thought the 5 game studios that they talked about were just huge news, probably
Huge.
biggest news of E3.
Big
And I've been super critical about everything Xbox has been doing this generation, and so for them to come out and to excite me as much as they did. Now look, a lot of these games you're going to be able to play on your PlayStation 4, on your Switch, on PC, whatever, but the fact that they dedicated themselves to 50 games, 15 exclusives, 18 world reveals, whatever they said, like, I was entertained the entire time watching it. There was not a moment in that conference I was like, oh, let's get through this. And even if it was something that didn't like grab my interest a ton, they didn't spend a ton of time on it, So
Yeah.
all right, let's move on. Oh no, let's review our predictions here. So
All right.
I predicted Halo 6 will receive a gameplay trailer in a release window of 2019. I couldn't have been further from wrong. From correct.
I thought you were right, for the record.
Larry predicted that Microsoft will have an exclusive new horror game.
Yes.
I will read how it was written in here. Microsoft will give B an exclusive new horror game.
Give me.
Oh, okay.
My bad.
Then I also predicted that Microsoft will announce a partnership with EA where all EA published games will launch day and date on Games Pass. That didn't happen. I'll throw this one in there too because I feel like if this was going to happen, it would have been here. But that Valve surprises us by dropping a game announcement, that didn't happen either.
Didn't I have something about Cyberpunk?
You said we will finally get a detailed look at
Okay,
and
this
release
wasn't
window for
detailed.
Cyberpunk. So
Yeah.
you didn't get that either. All right.
I award myself 0.1 of a point, though.
0-10. All right.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to Bethesda. Are you ready to rage?
Yeah.
All right. So they kicked off the conference with Andrew WK coming out and bombing. He looked like he was having a great time.
He had fun. His initials, AWK, spell awk, which is the beginning of awkward, which is what this was.
But his song, which had a lot of keyboard runs in it, as if that was the only thing he knew how to do on the piano.
Yeah.
But it was to introduce Rage 2.
I saw a lot of people like tweeting about this, like this younger generation just doesn't get it. This guy is awesome, and this was a lot of fun. I'm like,
And all the
Was it
faces
though?
that they showed in that crowd demonstrated that it was not. All right.
your audience matters.
Look, I understand feeling the need to entertain, but I think you can look at what Sony did in the previous few years, what Microsoft did this year, and say, you know what entertains people the most? Not wasting their time and just showing us the games. It literally took us 14 minutes from the start of the show till they started showing us gameplay of Rage 2, between the Andrew WK musical number and then the developers of the game just coming out and talking. And the guy from Avalanche who just like kept pausing for the crowd. And I saw some people saying that like they may not have mic'd the crowd, and so that was maybe, playing with the way that it was coming across for those of us that were watching. But regardless, like, keep
Yeah.
it moving. Keep
Yeah.
it moving, man. So,
I thought he was forgetting what he was trying to say.
no, he was like awkwardly looking at people to laugh or whatever. I don't know.
I feel like that was present during Ubisoft's conference too. Like a lot of those French guys are just like, you'll clap now.
The Jeb
me.
Bush thing. Please clap.
Rage 2 looks really cool, though.
Yeah.
Like
once
a
we finally got
futuristic-
there.
Like a future bright Doom, And I don't know. That's a game I can see myself getting into. Spring 2019, that game's coming out. So,
Will you bring me a cream soda?
I will. Get myself a cream
Gracias.
soda.
oh, can
you
you
like
make
cream
that 3
soda?
cream sodas?
I really want cream soda. Do you have that still? The stevia?
No.
No. Never mind.
Don't bring him a cream soda. We don't have any.
What kind of soda do you have?
We have Coke Zero.
Bring me a Coke Zero, please. Yeah.
Really? The cookies are
dare
all
you.
the way over there. Elder Scrolls Legends is getting a visual overhaul. That's their mobile card game. Nerds. Speaking of nerds, Elder Scrolls Online.
I re-downloaded the card game
Did
after
you?
I saw all that stuff. Yeah, man. I love it.
How cool is it? Cool.
It's fun. It's my favorite thing to do while I'm pooping.
Are the upgrades good?
I have no idea. I haven't got that far.
Oh, okay.
So like if you want to like really be good at the game, you have to spend money on the new stuff. But my favorite gameplay mode is one where I think it's called Arena. I don't know. But you go in and it gives everyone who enters the arena at this particular point in time gets 3 random cards at a time, and they pick one of the 3 till they build a deck of 30, and then you take that deck that you freshly built from random cards and compete.
Okay.
And it's a cool game mode where everyone's on the same playing field. I have a lot of fun with that. So I don't know. It's a fun time waster.
Okay. Cool. Elder Scrolls Online is getting a dungeon DLC called Wolf Hunter that's going to be fully focused on the werewolves. And then, look, I get it. Like, I'm into a lot of weird things, too. I know entirely too much about the Overwatch League, that sort of stuff. But when he was like, I know a lot of you are very interested in digging into the lore of the whatever, I was like, there's nothing more like stereotypical of what video game fans are than this. Like, the outside world looks at this and says that's every single gamer. But you're the Elder Scrolls fan.
Yeah. And then the lore is freaking
Oh, yeah,
deep,
I know.
So
There, you could major in it.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
enough information. So, but did this look cool to you as somebody who really wants to get into ESO?
It did, and well, I don't know if I really want to. There are things that really interest me about it, and there are things that don't. So, I mean, it was cool. I loved Bethesda's conference, and I think that the Elder Scrolls Online stuff was exciting if you are into Elder Scrolls Online. So, yeah.
All right, cool. Then they showed Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal looked really interesting in the sense that it doesn't take place in hell.
Yeah.
Hell has breached the surface and it's come to Earth. But when he was like, do you guys want twice the demons? I'm like, no, I don't. Do you guys want hell on Earth? We're not there already.
No more, please.
But at the end of the day, it looked really cool.
Yeah.
Sequel to Doom. Doom played great. The reboot of the franchise that came out a couple years ago. So this will probably be something I'll try out when it comes out.
Yeah.
Quake Champion still exists. Prey DLC. Oh, go ahead.
Quake was the single most awkward moment of the entire conference for me. You asked what was more awkward than shoutcasters over top of people playing Command and Conquer on mobile. It was this guy who came decked out in like Quake swag from the mid 2000s, which is really just indicative of. Never mind, I'm getting rude. I'll stop there. But the number of times this dude pulled the police clap moment, like every 5 seconds, this dude was pausing for explosive applause. And I get it. There are people who are still excited about Quake, but most of us aren't. And nobody showed up to Bethesda's conference like, I cannot wait to hear some more about Quake.
Yeah, he paused for silence, and everyone was like, "Get the Fallout." Prey is getting some new DLC, releasing that night. I think this all was that night. New Game Plus was coming, a new survival mode, and Moon Crash DLC. But then the most interesting of all the DLC was Typhon Hunter, which is basically like a game of hide and seek where one player plays as a person, everybody else is a mimic, and you have to find those people in the environment while they're hiding. And I think that's really interesting, really cool, really fun. I really want to play Prey. That's something I wanted to go back and try.
Yeah.
Because the premise seems really, really cool to me. Then Wolfenstein Youngblood. This is another series. Like, I really want to get into it, but I just can't for some reason. I've tried a couple times to play Wolfenstein, but the premise of this was really good.
I haven't played Wolfenstein since the 90s.
So in this game, it's called Youngblood. You play as BJ's twin daughters. You're in France trying to expel the Nazis from France. Set in the 80s, and it's coming next year. Seth, you want to get into Wolfenstein?
I do and I don't. I really just want another season of Man in the High Castle. I think that's what it boils down to. Because I've tried to convince myself to get in, to go back and buy like the new Colossus, but not the new Colossus, the new Order, and
like the pack.
Yeah, like the first game and its DLC.
Yeah,
and,
New Order and Old Blood.
I just can't seem to get into it. It seems a little cheesy to me in a lot of ways, and not good cheesy, not campy.
I think it tries to play into its old roots a lot, but for me, I can't quite put my finger on what it is because I've tried twice now to get into Wolfenstein. There is a scarcity in the environment in terms of like resources that doesn't necessarily match the gameplay style that they've tried to create in the game. That doesn't
that kind
play
of hyper
well with
aggressive.
me. It's hyper aggressive, but yet like sometimes you're just out of ammo, and I don't know. It's something I think I want to just go through and watch the cutscenes from because the story seems interesting.
I'm going to insert this here. Bethesda, I thought their conference was great. It's the one I walked away from the most excited. Even the things I didn't care about, I thought were presented well, and there were people who were excited. So, like, I don't give a crap about Quake, but the people who were there who played Quake, that was great for them, except for the dude pausing every 5 seconds. For real. Super awkward. Don't ever do that again.
Long-time fan of the show.
Doom, Wolfenstein, like, those aren't games I'm probably going to pick up, but they looked fun. They looked good. And they were presented well.
Then the moment was here, Larry, where I took the basketball. I became LeBron James and dunked all over you, all right? Because they announced Skyrim Very Special Edition for Amazon Alexa, which is an actual game.
Yes, you can get this on your Alexa, Seth.
So my prediction, and look, I only got it partially correct, but I'm giving myself a full point for it, Seth, and you're just gonna have to deal with it.
Oh, so you decided on a full point?
I've decided on a full point. You guys can take it away if you feel like. But my prediction was they were going to make fun of themselves about Skyrim coming out on some sort of strange platform, and that then they were going to show a teaser for Elder Scrolls 6, and then it would fade in 2019 at the end. That was the tail end of it.
You got it, I thought.
They didn't say 2019 for Elder Scrolls 6, but everything else I nailed. So
in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't make a difference because you
Okay.
dunked all over me. But I say we give you 9/10 of a point.
Okay, 0.9 points. But I thought it was great. Bethesda has always been self-aware. They're the people who I love that they mentioned Walmart Canada in the press briefing because it was one of those like you knew they had something else. I tweeted that out when they showed it. I was like, if Rage 2 was their thing, like their big surprise, I think they'd have been a lot more upset. But coming out and just being like, "Thanks, Walmart Canada," it showed like we're still gonna swing for the fences at the end of this thing.
I loved the jab at Walmart. I laughed harder at the joke trailer than probably anybody because I was like, how the heck did Luke nail this so perfectly?
I don't give myself too much credit for this because Bethesda, if there's any company that will do it, it's Bethesda. They're so self-aware, and I think they know, like, they have the personalities with Pete Hines and with Todd Howard and those guys to really be able to, like, be a part of the meme without doing the classic thing that most old people do where they become a part of it and completely ruin it.
Yeah.
Having Keegan Michael Key in it and all that, like, it was just perfect how they did it.
I loved the ice shot at the end, making ice come out of the freezer. Oh, that's pretty cool.
I love the part where he was like, "I eat all the cheese." Anyway, then they showed Fallout 76. Larry,
Country Roads.
oh my gosh, it's gonna be that song playing on TV spots.
It is
for the
forever.
next 6 months. But
So I'm from West Virginia, and I
No.
love that place. Our listeners don't know. We don't
Get
talk
to
about it often. So actually, my mom lived on one side of the bridge, and my dad lived on the other. So every weekend, I'd drive across
What
the bridge.
bridge?
Seriously, you
what
know you're from
bridge?
West Virginia when there's one bridge. One bridge.
It was the largest. I forget the type of arch bridge in the world at one point. What do you mean, what bridge?
Hey,
The New River
every
Gorge
was
Bridge.
once the largest arch bridge.
That's not true. Anyway, the New River Gorge Bridge, Seth. So, like, I don't know. It's really cool to see a Fallout, like, taking place in the place where I grew up. That's really neat.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm excited about it, Seth.
I can't wait to
quit.
nuke the place that you grew up.
Same. In a lot of ways, same.
I can't wait to blow up your hometown.
All right, let's run through the details real quick. It is online only. It is, as Todd Howard described it, softcore survival. So when you die, you don't lose stuff. When you know,
Which I love.
yeah, it makes it fun. Like, the one thing you don't want to do is get into one of these games and then just get grief to high heaven, right? And so making it a world you can jump into and out of. He kind of described in a later interview how, like, your base works. So your base is populated when you get into the server, and then when you leave, it's taken out. So your base can't be messed with while you're not there. So that sort of stuff's really cool to me. There used to be a time where I was like, man, I really want a hardcore survival game, persistent servers, where I've got to have good defenses around my place to guard my stuff even when I'm not there. And now I'm like, I ain't got time.
That's a lot of
You're an
work.
adult.
Yeah.
That's my problem with Destiny right now. Like, there's a part of me that does want to go back and try raid layers and just get every weapon that I can possibly think of. And then I'm like, I'm a daddy now. I got daddy stuff to do. Daddy can't play games all day.
Daddy's him, if you're wondering.
And Destiny 2 is like a full-time. Any Destiny game is like a full-time job.
Yeah, you got a friend of yours who is on my friends list.
O'Brien.
It does not matter what time of day it is. If I'm on, he is on. It's insane.
Yeah, and it's Destiny 2 the whole time. He's got like 3 Titans that all have masterwork armor and blah blah blah. He used to have two entirely separate PSN accounts, and each of his 6 characters was leveled all the way up. I don't know why he has 3 Titans on one account.
I already have a job. I don't need another one.
I mean,
Seriously, that's crazy. I guess he's getting his money's worth.
oh, for sure. I mean, but I can't imagine. Like, I have a hard enough time leveling up one character all the way.
Oh, I'm
I'm
sorry.
gonna jump
I'm
back
going
to Fallout if that's all right.
Yeah,
Sure,
let me
sure.
finish the rundown real quick. So every human you encounter is going to be an actual player. The servers are not going to be populated by thousands or hundreds of players. It's going to be literally dozens of us, all right?
Literally dozens of us.
Shared crafting system. I thought that was really cool. Dedicated servers, and then there's going to be nuclear sites planted all around the map, and there's going to be these really complicated quests that you have to undergo in order to get the launch codes for those.
And then you can nuke whatever you want to nuke.
Yeah.
And
Rocket
then
Man.
search the nuked area for rare and
all
valuable
Rocket Man
resources. This whole section of Bethesda, like, this was the highlight of E3 for me. And like, I recognize to some degree there's this excitement, oh, this takes place where I grew up, but there's, like, legitimately this is something I've always wanted from Bethesda. One of their RPGs where I can jump in with my friends and play together. That's awesome to me. I can't wait. I thought it was really cool that they based a lot of the creatures off of the folklore of the area. I can't wait to kill the Mothman. That's going to be very exciting for me. Uh, and the base building didn't look as important and time consuming as I was afraid it would be. So that was exciting. And there's something I was going to say that I'm forgetting. So never mind.
I'm
It's
sure you'll
great.
think of it because we're going to talk about this for a second. As a guy who I played through all of Fallout 4, I really enjoyed it, but I was kind of underwhelmed by the story, especially after things I had heard about like Fallout 3 and New Vegas and all that sort of stuff. The idea of this game just intrigues me. Of a world I can jump into and out of. I can share the experience with my friends. We're kind of creating our own stories within it. There will be quests within the game and stuff like that that you're trying to achieve. But for the most part, it's about just figuring out what you can do inside this world. And I really appreciate that. And I think that's cool. I love the nuclear thing. I love anything that's like got steps in the process and you got to kind of dedicate time to do it. And especially something that can be as world altering as that. Your stuff can be destroyed while you're on the server, but he said, Todd Howard said you can build it back up fairly quickly.
It reminds me, not to steal any thunder from Fallout 76, but did you ever get to the point in how much of Phantom Pain did either of you play? I'm assuming 0.
Of what?
Phantom Pain?
Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah. 0.
0.
How much did you play?
I don't want to say decently far into it because I think that game was like 40 hours, but but I did get to like where you're building your base on,
Okay. Did you ever build a nuke?
No, I did not.
Okay. So many chose not, or elected not to. I decided to go ahead and do it. And you know what happens when you do?
What's that?
Like, you get the nuke for your base and all that. People can try to come and steal it or whatever, but it affects your character, and that like it changes you for a long, long time, and like it gives you like a literal horn in your head. Like you turn into a demon. You're covered in blood at all times, and you have to like do I don't know how many heroic things in order, like good things, in order to get rid of the blood all over you and blah blah blah. So something about this kind of reminds me of that. It's really hard to do, but there are consequences for when you do it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, look, the consequence is it cuts out all the moral high ground from under us when Trump decides to finally use the actual nukes. Todd Howard can be like, well, look what you did when you were given the capabilities. So, I don't know. I'm excited about this. I'm definitely going to play it. This is coming in November. November, do you remember the specific date? I think it was like 12th. November 12th or 13th.
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I forgot to put it in here. Then he announced Fallout Shelter releasing on PS4 and Switch that day. I downloaded it onto my Switch, but there was a lot of stuff that came to Switch the day it was announced, so I don't know if I'll ever get around to it. Elder Scrolls Blades is coming to mobile.
I was actually so disappointed in this because I thought this was the only Elder Scrolls announcement we were going to get. But now, on the other side of it, now that I know that Elder Scrolls 6 is actually coming, I'm actually very excited about this game. I think I'll actually enjoy that more than the card game I was talking about earlier. Like, this will be my new poop time activity.
Nice.
Poop it time, just like that Dalmatian across the street. We just watched.
Yeah.
I don't really care about
Same place, in
mobile
fact.
games, so they then teased 2 games. They teased Starfield, which is their new IP, the sci-fi RPG.
Oh wait, no, wrong thing.
Sci-fi RPG. It's going to be next gen, is how he described it. Then they released a little teaser for Elder Scrolls 6, which wasn't much more than environments and then the title screen. But they didn't name it, right? It just said Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah, we don't have a name yet.
So I still imagine this is probably next gen as well.
Yeah.
Which
Which is really disappointing to me. In a lot, like, it's sad to me that we went a whole console generation without an Elder Scrolls game.
what are you
I don't
talking
know.
about? We got Elder Scrolls 5 40 times.
I don't know how much it bothers me, really, kind of to touch on an earlier point, because after the last launch gen, like after the current gen's launch, I don't know if I'm ever going to buy a console at launch again.
Really?
Because of that time where we just had, like, we got our PS4's launch day, right? And we had Call of Duty Ghosts.
The greatest
By
Call of Duty game
and
of all
far
time.
the worst Call of Duty of all time. We had a Black Flag, which was not exclusively, current gen, and then we had like Killzone, Shadowfall, and just a bunch of stuff that didn't really impress in any
I guess
way.
I'm gonna have to buy 2 at launch then, because look, I agree. Like, if I was smart, I wouldn't, because you are waiting around. But
Well,
I
I say this, and I'm gonna fight the urge. Myself,
well,
don't get me wrong, but-
I also think, going back to Microsoft for just a second, I think they're setting themselves up for Halo Infinite to be a launch title with
Yeah.
the next Xbox.
Which would be great instead of waiting a year for the freaking Master Chief Collection.
You may want to talk into your mic.
I was trying to yell that.
And just I don't know. So many people screwed up so badly, and I'm going to talk about this more here in a little bit. So many people screwed up so badly this generation that people actually did start voting with their wallets. And I don't think that you could get away with some of the same issues that people got away with at the beginning of this generation.
I do think people understand, like, we got to come out of the gate swinging. I'm not there with you. Like, even if they came out and they were like, hey, we're releasing this new box and we promise there's no games for 18 months on it, I'll still buy it. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. I feel like there could be a lot of good stuff at launch this gen or this coming gen. But there was supposed to be a lot of good stuff at the beginning of this past gen,
And it
like
just kept
Destiny
getting pushed,
and
yeah.
et cetera. Yeah, so who knows? I don't know if I could justify it
I
fiscally.
do feel like the rumors of, like, there being dev kits out in the wild are coming a lot sooner than they did in the last generation too. So, and I don't think the tech is gonna, in terms of like developing on the tech, is gonna be much different than it is for what they're doing now. So, I think a lot of those issues are gonna be rectified. So, but we're just gonna have to see. All right, let's get to the grades. Larry, what do you give Bethesda?
I don't know what I wrote, but I'm giving it an A plus. Let's see.
Oh, man.
Did I write A plus?
added a
I wrote
plus.
A. All right, I added a plus. Like there were awkward parts in Bethesda's conference for sure. It started off with remember? But the big announcements were so great that I can overlook all the awkward moments. I was, like I said, even the games I'm not excited about, I thought they were presented well, they were good, and there was so much that I am excited about. I'm a huge Elder Scrolls fan, and there was a lot of little stuff to hold us over as we wait for this big thing that's coming. The Fallout game is something I'm excited for so many reasons. For me, this conference was the highlight of E3. I loved every moment of this after we got done hearing Are You Ready to Die? And
Are you ready to rage?
oh, right. He also said Ready to Die at some point in the
Oh.
song, I think. But you're right, Ready to Rage. And that guy who kept demanding applause. Other than that, like, I loved every moment of this conference. It was great.
Seth.
I am not the biggest Bethesda guy. I mean, I love Skyrim. The Elder Scrolls in general, I tend to like. I haven't really tried online. Fallout's pretty cool to me. But I haven't dove into like Doom or any Wolfensteins, etc., etc. Fallout Shelter. Don't even know if I really want that on the Switch. So it really kind of, I gave it a solid B.
For Bethesda.
For Bethesda, right? It was fine. A lot of the stuff seemed really cool. They really got their presentation on after that first 15 minutes or whatever. But again, maybe just me not being the most, be for bias, not the most Bethesda guy in town. I don't know. It was just fine to me.
I like to imagine they just weren't like something went wrong, their computers crashed, and Andrew WK walked in and was like, "Don't worry, guys, I got this. While you get this fixed, I'll stall."
He was the guy that did that song, right? That was like party, party, party. Let's go. He had a
I
big
think that
song.
was him. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a big song a while back, and I think Aqua Teen did something. with that.
Nothing screams A-list celebrity like Aqua Teen Hunger Force
Not
doing something
A-list
with
by
your
any
song.
means, but he was one of those like not even quite one-hit wonder guys, but one hit.
Line.
It's in the vein of Friday by Rebecca Black, but not as hated.
I gave it a B minus. It took a lot of time to get going. It is impossible for you to get an A in my book if it takes you 15 minutes to show even the slightest hint of gameplay about anything. I thought once it got going, I'm like you, even the games I know I probably won't play, I was interested in seeing. I do want to play Rage 2. I think it looks really cool. Doom Eternal looks really cool. Fallout 76 looks great. Look, the Elder Scrolls 6 thing should be more disappointing, I think, than it is to a lot of people, because we thought we were going to see this game a lot sooner than we
I
saw
mean, that
it.
game came out in what 2012.
What,
I'm pretty
5?
Sure,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was my senior year of college, and I mean it's been 6 years
Yeah.
now.
It's been a
No,
long time.
and it's
It was
looking like it's
2011.
7
It came out on
years.
11/11/11.
Yeah, good.
yeah. So,
Old muscle memory over here.
I mean, it's
Um,
memorable. If you had a child born on that day and you named it Dovahkiin, you got free Bethesda games for life.
Okay.
Someone did that.
But that's a
Nice.
long
So
time
jealous.
between games. I mean, we've had Elder
Yeah.
Scrolls Online, you've had the card game, and whatever else, so you can get your fix. But 7+ years, it's probably going to be like 9 to 10. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, this game's got to be huge.
all right. Cool. All right. So we've got 3 conferences behind us. We got 3 more to go. We are going to take a short break because it's threatening rain out here. So we're going to get everything inside because the rain's supposed to start.
Moving to
So,
the great indoors.
Give us about 15, 20 minutes to get this set back up inside, and we will be right back.